is the most premium quality auto refinishing solution you will ever need.
We can learn from you. For one example is management of wildlife.
We are looking forward starting the communication, but I think all our countries who are in trouble should get together to ensure that we have a fair deal.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe urged all the nations in the world which are undergoing difficulties to be united in seeking solutions. Addressing the African envoys meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat, President Wickremesinghe explained the new phase of Sri Lanka's foreign policy, adding that Sri Lanka and Africa have been there for each other during times of trouble. Sri Lanka also shares a commonality with many African states in respect of its legal system. Sri Lanka also maintains significant economic ties with the African region, though there is scope for further growth. Investment, tourism, and migration flows have also grown in recent decades, though the African continent remains small in terms of total flows to Sri Lanka. Foreign diplomats of the African continent commended President Wickremesinghe's efforts in maintaining peace in the country and his commitment to reconnecting and strengthening relations with the African continent. The diplomats said that they focused on further strengthening the bilateral relationship by aiming at economic cooperation and investment, expanding tourism in Sri Lanka, and granting South African assistance, guidance and counseling in setting up a credible truth-seeking mechanism to achieve a lasting reconciliation amongst communities. They also look forward to air and maritime connectivity to enhance the relationship with Sri Lanka and ensure continuous engagement.
Celebrating 20 years of absolute trust. Lanka Pay, your trusted payment network.
Sri Lanka's focus was mainly on Sri Lanka with the war that was going on. And even after the war, to basically take on the issues of the economy as well as you know, the different views that came after the war to move towards reconciliation. Now that phase is coming to an end. And I must thank the African states for all the support they have given to us in Geneva. Now we are seeing a genuine shift of power from the west to the east, to Asia and then to Africa. That shift of power must continue, because as we see East Asia and China has come up, we can see South Asia with India and then Africa, which will have the latter part of this century. So it's important that we keep these relations, strengthen it, to look at a time when our part of the world will have a bigger voice, and we must claim a bigger voice without waiting for that to happen. We've seen today also two issues. One has been Ukraine, in which we have refused to get involved. We are also concerned about the situation that's building up in the Straits of Taiwan. But nevertheless, it's our policy that we should not become caught in the big power rivalry. Sri Lanka is of the view that our part of the world should stay out of big power rivalry and ensure that we increase our voice. Today we still see what is happening in the world is very one-sided, especially in case of Africa. Africa needs to get more resources and a stronger voice. Sri Lanka supports Africa in this measure. When we see climate change, where in case of climate change, they have 100 billion that can be given to the Ukraine war, but very little that can be given for climate change. So we have to make our voice felt when we go to the UAE, and we have to ensure that there is no compromise. In my view, it should be a take it or leave it situation. Even if we get left out, it doesn't matter. They can't afford to leave us out. So in these areas, Sri Lanka's policy now is to look at the Western Indian Ocean and to Africa. We do have relations with the Middle East, which we are building up, with Saudi Arabia, with Iran and others. But Africa is what we have to engage in politically, economically, culturally, and also with some of the countries sports-wise. If any of you are playing cricket or rugby, kindly let us know. We are all there for that game. But it is necessary that we do this and strengthen our relations with the OAU. I am asking the minister to visit the OAU and the minister, our state minister and others was to visit the African countries. We are looking at our diplomatic relations, how we can strengthen them. But with that, a political dialogue. We want to open political dialogues with Africa. We have decided how we can do it. And the economics, the trade. We have very little trade with Africa, but gradually we can increase it. We have Sri Lankans who go down to Kenya, to Tanzania, South Africa and Botswana for tourism, amongst others, and to Egypt. But we can expand. Trade is one area. There are Sri Lankan companies who are looking at investing in Africa. We are encouraging them. We are encouraging our firms to have certainly connections with the African continent, and we want to build that up slowly. I can't see it happening in 1 or 2 years. We ourselves are recovering from the present economic crisis, but when you look out, I've said always remember to look out to Africa. With South Africa, we have a specific connection, and with Zimbabwe, we are the only 3 countries which have practiced Roman Dutch law, which the Dutch has left behind long ago. Culturally, I think we can find a lot of areas in which we can cooperate, and certainly in the field of education, whatever we Sri Lanka can do, we are willing to help you. We can learn from you. For one example is management of wildlife.
We are looking forward to starting the communication, but I think all our countries who are in trouble should get together to ensure that we have a fair deal.
For more latest news, subscribe to FTTV.